It's just the three of us today on episode 81 of Armstrong Street Scene Power Hour. Host, Rick Guerrera. Other host, John Lesaganich. I can't.
Don't worry, he forgets everybody. I'm surprised he remembered my name after 30 years. Or so.
I call you a lot of names, but it's not suitable for air. So, my name is Greg Roten. We are here today. We had a guest kind of back out on us, so we're gonna just shoot the breeze, and we're going to bring up a lot of subjects that is in the car world, and we're going to review some of our shows that we've done so far this season.
Probably the biggest one we haven't aired yet.
Yes, and just to let everybody know, we have Street Scene Car and Custom Bike Show is on the air right now. It's on YouTube.
I watched it the other day. It's pretty good.
You can watch it. It's right on YouTube. Just go to the Armstrong Neighborhood channel. Armstrong Street Scene Car and Custom Bike Show 2024. It's on there. And we also have the Heritage Days. And I just finished up Cars in the Park. So Cars in the Park. Yeah. So I just finished that up. We will air that in about 2 weeks. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on YouTube first. Next week, I'm going to put it on YouTube. It'll be on there first, then it'll go on the air. So we'll see if we get some good YouTube hits on that. Just started looking at, say it, Rick, where we were at last week.
Yeah, the Octane Nights, man, and Ravenna Cruise In. Oh my God!
Wow,
it was like we were talking between 45 and 5,000 cars there, so they're talking 15, 20,000 people there. Unbelievable. I have to say, you said you been to that show. I was like, okay, that would be my third time. Yeah.
I didn't expect that. I walked in, I'm like, holy, you know what? It's like, it's just packed. It's like for 2 miles down the road of cars. And
this was the biggest I've seen.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And we had some great interviews. It couldn't have been a more perfect night out. It was perfect. It was cooler. Yeah. It was sunny, and it was what a show that was. I can't wait to edit it. I saw some drone footage on Facebook. I'm trying to get a hold of the guy. I'd love to include that in our show and credit him. So hopefully I can get a hold of him, or I might call Mongoose Motorsports.
Mongoose Sports. Yeah,
I think we talked to Trisha.
Trisha.
Yep. You want to go into a little detail of how she got to take it over, which is not a good story.
No. Well, her husband died of COVID back a few years ago. And then she took it over, and it's twice as big as it was before.
Yeah. I mean, her husband and her did a great job, obviously, starting it. But man, I mean, you know, his legacy lives on in that show because it's incredible. It's got to be one of the biggest shows in Ohio.
She's in charge of Mongoose Sporting too, so that's what it's all about. Mongoose Motorsports, yeah.
You know, I got a call from a guy that was there, and we actually had him on one of our shows. We interviewed him, not the podcast, but a show, and he says, "Hey, where you at?" My phone rings. "Where you at? Where you at?" I says, "Well, what's going on?" He says, "Oh, I'm in Ravenna." Well, I was on my way back, and I'm not going to tell this story because I was on my way back from Lodi, Ohio.
Okay.
Where a young guy, I got to tell this story off air, but I'll just give you a young guy bought a pit bike off me, a little mini 125cc. They run them out in the pits and all that, like a mini bike.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This was a really cool custom Stingray thrown out bobber looking, a badass pit bike, really more so to hang on your wall, or you'd see at Quaker Steak. You know, people say, what is that? But it was a cool bike. But he buys it off me. I agree to meet him in Lodi halfway, being a nice guy. And I'm waiting for this guy, and I hear, "Hey," and I turn around, and there's a young guy there with a backpack and a helmet. And I says, "Who are you?" He said, "Oh, I'm here for the pit bike." And I said, "Well, would you drive here?" Because he's out of Columbus. He said, "Oh, I got a ride here. A buddy of mine rode me." I said, "Well, where's he at?"
He's gonna. Oh my God!
No, wait. He said he left. I said, "What are you gonna do?" "Well, let's get this down and get it running." And I told him, I said, "Look, you're not going to be on 71." You know,
no way on this
pit bike.
They don't go that fast.
No, 15, 20 miles an hour. and it's not like, but anyway, so that was a story, but we worked that out and I just shook my head, and we worked that out and got it
You
settled.
need a title for that?
It's like a moped.
Money. Okay.
Yeah, like
money,
like
and that's it.
Yeah,
Receipt?
like a moped.
Yeah.
And I felt bad and said, look, I think you didn't understand. I still want it. So we cut a deal, but I cut him some slack. But anyway, so I'm driving back and I get that call. Where you at? Totally forgot about Ravenna.
Oh,
Totally.
Oh man.
And
Ravenna.
I heard that you guys are talking about it. It was great.
oh
You know
God.
what, John? What a show that was. We were walking around there in awe at first, and Greg goes, "We can interview anybody?" And I go, "Oh."
I was like,
You want to interview? There's like 1,000. Oh my God.
I kind of feel bad for Rick these days because I'm usually rushing through these shows because number one, I'm tired of doing them. Number two, I'm in pain. I can't walk that well with my back and my hips. So I'm limited on how much I can do. And by the time we left, I'm like, you might have to wheel me out of here because we walked from one end to the other, back to the other end. And that was probably maybe 6 miles total. Probably the most I've walked since I've had my hip surgery.
What's the furthest you think someone went to that from? How far away?
A lot of people are from Cleveland, Columbus, and stuff like that. Yeah. So there was a lot of different cars there, which is really cool.
Yeah, cars we usually don't, because our shows around here, they're great. Don't get me wrong, but after a period of time, and you guys been doing it for 97 years, you've seen all those cars. Yeah, you've seen all those cars though.
Yeah,
sure.
And so when you go to shows like that and you said 5,000 cars possibly.
Oh yeah,
45 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Every parking lot, every space on the main drag there was filled.
What did she say? There was like 42.
4250. I thought 4250
spots.
Yeah, spots, and there was people that couldn't find a space.
They were just up and down the road. Look, she said, "See those people up and down the road? They're looking for spaces to park."
By the time we left, there were some spaces opening up. But again, we left at 7:00, so it was just packed. And
I was told there was tons of vendors and food vendors and whatever you want.
Oh yeah, it was
right there
like
on
a
the
festival.
strip. Yeah, it was right there on the strip.
That show could be a weekend show by all means. I mean, like Rick, you said the police would stand for it, but because you can't shut the road down for 3 days.
We interviewed a policeman.
Yes, we did. Yes.
Well, we interviewed a couple of them.
Yeah.
Can't wait till you see the one.
Yeah, wait till you see what the policeman we interviewed him with. Let's put it that way. I'll leave it for that. When the show comes out, it'll be a couple weeks. I'm working actually pretty quick on them right now because I've got a lot of marketing stuff coming up.
I think we had Officer We had Officer McNasty on there too.
That was all Rick. So I'm not in the doghouse for that one. That was all Rick.
It's a whole different meaning to street scene.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of scene.
What you don't see is really good.
Yeah. So,
I'm sorry I missed that show.
Yeah,
I made Greg blush, man, like 10 different colors.
No, he shocked me. It takes a lot to shock me anymore. I don't. But when he said what he said, I almost dropped down to the ground and in shock, going, "Oh my God!" I
can't believe you said that. And I said,
"We'll let the viewers wait." That's a nice.
Yeah,
tease.
well, it won't be on the camera what he said, but you'll get when you see what we videotaped, you'll understand what he said because it wasn't anything nice.
Hey, Greg. So just any Volkswagens there?
Yes, there was. There was
an Anglia with a Volkswagen engine in it. That's
it was cool.
Stood out to me. Yeah.
There was not many. I can say we have more Volkswagens at our shows in the Mahoning Valley here, but there were some nice ones and just muscle cars everywhere. Just a lot of cool rides.
Yeah,
my
God. Big buck
so you had everything from the pro stock to any
and we had and
Nova, was that Nova Pro Stock we interviewed?
Yes, it was. And it even had I've got a soft spot for these cars because my buddy had one growing up. It's a 77 Volare wagon. And you know what? It was there. I'm like, we ripped on him. Oh, you got a wagon. Now they're so cool again, and there was one there and I was just gushing over it. I'm like, this is so cool. And probably made, like you said, Rick, I probably made the guy's day because nobody would look at it, but except me.
No, I think,
Greg looks at different cars than I do. Okay.
Yeah,
We've been doing that for 16 years.
That's what that's what makes it, because I like a totally different set of cars than Rick. Me and him don't overlap too much. We'll appreciate what the other one likes, and go overlap. Very few that we're gushing over together. So it's always one or the other. And you'll see that in Cars in the Park too. There was one there that I dropped ears on, and I said, Rick, you're interviewing him. You're like, okay, whatever. Well, you're gonna have to. So.
No, I like the orphan cars. I like the cars that weren't big at the time, but now you see them and people ask what they were. I'm still looking for a Gremlin.
Oh yeah, do what David Freiberger did. You know David Freiberger from
seen it. Yeah,
the Hemi Grammy. Dumped the Hemi in that Grammy, and man, that thing scoots. So he's one guy that if you don't know David Freiberger, Mike Finnegan, they're the hosts of Roadkill. You've got to check it out there's some episode on YouTube. It's on Motor Trend and Discovery Plus. So it's one of my favorite shows. I followed them from season 1.
Well, and two shows, Greg. Roadkill, that remind me of me, because there's many cars I've driven home. And
that's probably why I like it, because it's like, you have
zip ties in the back, the duct tape, stop and you ask, you got a coat hanger, because nobody has coat hangers no more. They're all plastic.
Yeah.
But, I've driven cars home fixed that way. And I get a kick out of it. And the other one is, what is that one where they find the cars in the field? The one guy, Roadworthy or Road.
Oh, Roadworthy Rescues with Derek Bieri.
Great.
He's awesome. He started a YouTube channel just for information on how to fix cars. And look at him now. He quit his job. He moved. He's making a ton of money, but he's good at it. I mean,
that's what it's all about. Yep.
Yeah. It's all about, and I was talking, my buddy brought his daughter's car over to my house to get fixed, had to get some welding done. It had a rot hole in it. PA inspection didn't pass. He goes, can I bring it over and you can weld some patches in, put a bumper skirt on it and stuff? Okay, no problem. I was helping him and couldn't get a couple of those little clips in. Where did we resort to? What did we resort to? Zip ties. And we were talking. I said, I grew up with this guy. I said, what the hell did we do back in the 70s and 80s without the damn zip ties?
We didn't have zip ties back then.
I remember carrying some baling wire around just to tie stuff up with. Yeah. But the zip ties were like, there's the best invention ever made, in my opinion.
If you ever see me walking out of Harbor Freight, if I'm in the area and I just stop in, I don't really need nothing. I just stop in and walk around.
A bag of zip ties.
All the time.
Every time.
I got the big ones, the small ones, the white ones, the green ones, the black ones.
Well, they come in handy. I got a drawer full of them at home in my garage.
The two best inventions, zip ties and the microwave. You can survive. You can fix stuff and eat. Oh, the microwave is beautiful. I've actually became a fairly good cook when the microwave was invented.
Because of zip ties. Right?
Oh, yeah. The door broke and wouldn't keep closed, so I zip tied it.
Well, I think the best thing with the zip tie, I don't know how we got on the roadkill zip tie moments here, but zip ties for wire separators, for spark wires. Oh, best thing ever.
Best thing in the world, Greg.
Best thing ever. You tie a zip tie and you string them one in between and it makes perfect. Perfect. You can't even tell. And I'm like, I do that all the time. Just did it 2 weeks ago in the Torino. I was trying to get some of the wires out of the way. I'm like, hey, let's make some zip tie wire separators. And perfect.
I did it on a 40 Econoline that I just recently did and flipped, and they look good. Hey, so let's start, since we're bouncing around different topics. Let me tell you what I'm looking at, you guys, and you're going to like this. And if we get it, it'll be possibly on a future show. So I told you guys, the viewing, listening audience, and you two know that, I love my cars, but I don't often keep them. I flip them. And I just enjoy doing that and driving.
You flip them and you flip them and you flip them.
Flip them. Yeah, I get a kick out of it.
We could do a whole episode just on the cars you flipped this past year,
Oh, yeah. But I've had my Corvette for a little over 8 years, believe it or not.
Oh, my God. What's going on here, John? You must love that car or something.
It may be leaving us, So I was driving it. I took it up to Geneva a couple of days ago and took it for a nice ride. And, and it's what do I got coming in here?
Is it a T-top?
No, It's a Targa top. The whole top comes off. Smoked Targa top. Yeah. So, I have that, and I drove it, and I enjoy it, and it's a Corvette, and it's red, and it's great. But I said, I've never had. I'm going through the list of cars. I never wanted one, and I never had a Model A, a Ford Model A.
I love those.
The 29 or 30 roadster looking ones with the rumble seats in the back.
I love those. Always have.
I says, man, I want one. So I started looking into them, looking into Model A's, talking to guys online. Original Model A's are cool. They're not real fast. They're a little bit different to drive. They don't stop real good.
No, they're not drivers.
Right.
Let's face it, they were just slow moving cars.
But they're a cool car. And I says, well, I'm a driver though. I like to get in my car and go up to Geneva or, up to, going to, and one guy told me, he said, well, you know what? Model A guys hate these cars. And I think we brought this up before. There's called a Ford Shay, Shay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Remember that? Yep.
Yeah. Now Shay went to Ford, I think in the 70s, 79 or something, and said, look, I'm going to make reproduction Model A's. And I think a 55 T-Bird too. Put them on a full frame, Mustang front ends, 4-cylinder Pinto engine, drivetrain, and rear end. And you'll look just like a Model A, but you can drive it anywhere.
That's it.
So they made it for about 10 years. So I said, well, wow, that's pretty cool. Fiberglass body, it's not metal. But it's you're driving, nobody knows, but you're getting that feel of a Model A. So I found one in Findlay, Ohio. And it's a deluxe model, so it has the spare tires on both sides.
Ooh,
yeah, kind of cool. Yeah. And I think we're cutting the deal. I'm driving up tomorrow with the vet. It's about a 2.5 hour drive. We kind of agreed.
You're gonna trade with the vet?
Well, and there's it's a trade deal. We'll say that. Okay, and it's going to work out for both of us, pretty good. And if it works out, because we agreed on, hey, we agreed on a deal, but not finalize it till we both look at the cars. We see
what was the engine again?
It's a 4-cylinder Pinto engine.
Pinto.
Out of a Pinto.
Yeah.
And amazing what you could do to those. Is it a 4 or 6-cylinder?
The Pintos had the 4s.
Probably a 4. I'm not sure, but I think a 4.
But it's amazing what you could do to those little buggers.
Oh yeah, you can pull.
I mean, it's crazy.
Now, let me understand. The Pintos, I think they had thick cylinder walls where you could bore them out pretty good. Or I'm thinking of also the Chevy 2.5 cylinder, 4 cylinders, Iron Dukes, but you could really hop those up. I think those Pinto engines were the same way. You could really hop them up.
I think you're right. And what's cool about these Shays with the Pintos, the inside where the engine sits, it's not tough to throw a small little V6 in there. I mean, guys, do tons of stuff to these things. And what's cool is the wheel hubs. You can go out and buy mag. They're not the old Model A types. You can go to put mags on them. They make it look like a roadster.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
So there's a lot to do to this. I'm going to go take a look at it. It has the rumble seat. And if I'm going to drive the vet there, and like Finley's about, like I said, 2.5 hours. So the vet will be cool driving back. The Shay on the way back, got the skinny tires. I'm thinking the way there is 76 to 71. On the way back, I'm thinking doing 224 all the way.
Yeah.
50 miles an hour.
Yeah. Just enjoy the drive, but you won't have to worry about being stuck on the highway if something happens.
Right. 224, there's all kinds of places. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
What does your wife think of you doing all this stuff?
She,
does she think you're a little?
Here's what happens. Well, no. Here's what happens. Here's the cool part. On a lot of the, I'm going to be personal here. On a lot of the flips, most of the flips, I end up with cash in my pocket in another car.
That helps. Yeah.
No shit. Oh, excuse. We're on the podcast. But
I don't care.
So when I come home and say, look at the car, and she goes, I don't know. And I say, well, here's $3,000. Oh, hey, all of a sudden.
We could use that for this.
Yeah. So
no.
That works out. But what's interesting is I've brought cars home, and she's not a car person. Believe me, not into the cars. But I've brought them home. And she hasn't said much about him. And then when I get rid of him, she goes, boy, I really like that one. And I said, you never said you liked
Why you say that?
You never. But she puts up with it. I don't. It doesn't hurt us. you know, I have fun doing it. I get a kick out of it, and you know,
Does this Shay have air conditioning and everything?
yeah, it has you tilt the window off forward.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
The
okay.
pop-out
One of
windows,
those.
yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Mhm.
No, and here's the thing. It has a soft top, but it doesn't. They sell the side curtains for it. That's like an extra.
Yeah.
But this one
okay.
doesn't have the side curtains. So I hope it's going to be nice driving home. But I'm thinking I may go down to Cyclone and say, look, I want a set of just Velcro type in case I'm caught in the rain.
Yeah.
They'll do it.
You know,
They're good.
Oh yeah, just something to Velcro up there, some clear plastic or something. I don't know. I don't, we'll get.
Yeah, you get a preset. I'm sure they have some fabric left over from a top that they had to put on, or a top that didn't work and they still have it. Get something like that.
You
Just cut it
suggest
in
something, and
Velcro.
they'll get you in the right area. You know, the right direction. Yeah.
So, did you guys ever have Cyclone on as a guest?
Yes,
Oh yeah.
we did.
We had
yeah.
Mark on, right?
Yeah.
We had Mark on. From,
I'd have to look back. I can't remember the
I
name,
think it
but
was Mark. We had
yeah,
Mark.
they're really
Mark
good.
and there's Tim. I think we had Mark on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. The Whizzer is still at the shop. Our buddy. It's I don't know.
It's been a
better
while.
go down there and push them a little bit. Yeah.
It's been I was hoping to enjoy maybe I'll enjoy it fall through Mill Creek Park, but the Whizzer is still down there. And our buddy Rich Sidoris, the VW, he gave me a lead on a 66 VW. I called the guy and he never returned my call, so maybe he sold it. But that's what I'm up to. So we'll see what ends up. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I just saw a 66 bug on Marketplace. They want $3,500 for it. So it was like, wow, that's pretty good. It ran. It was all there, needed redone, but I was like, that's pretty good price anymore for anything below a 68.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Greg. When I redid my 65, it wasn't a body off, and the pans were pretty good. But I've been kicking this around. I think you could put pans and maybe heater channels without body off.
I've done both of mine that way.
Oh,
I've never. Yeah. I didn't unbolt the body from the I-beam. You can actually slide the pan up into the channel and then put your heater channel up, bolt it together, and tack weld it in. You can do it on there. There's one piece I think in the back that you have to take out and weld back in, but it's very possible. I've done it. So
you're going through the interior part then? Is that what you're saying?
You're cutting the whole floor out. You're cutting the whole
I'm saying
floor.
when you put the pan in, you're going through the interior part.
No, you're going up underneath the driver's or passenger side at an angle up, and there's a little lip around the beam there's a little lip that it sits on. You drill some pilot holes in it so you can plug weld it onto that lip, and then you lay it up there and you put the heat channel in, get your door aligned, and then you bolt it. You just bolt into the heater channel. So it's not that hard.
Any suggestions to people that are going to do this, that want to do this? Be
prepared. Be prepared for some work, because I think the worst part about that is getting everything lined up. You've got to brace. Let me put it to you this way. Before you even take that floor out, you got to cross brace on your driver's door and your passenger's door and between the back seat with metal bars so your body doesn't collapse, because there is no way of stopping that. Once it starts to sag and you're done, you're going to have a dent in the roof. It's going to sag. So you got to brace all that first. That's the biggest thing. Second thing is, once you get all that metal out, you got to clean it up real well. Get everything ship shape, cleaned up, ready to weld in. Yeah, and everything will fall into place.
Yeah, and the other thing, Greg, and I think, when I did the 65 and I did the rear shock towers underneath the rear wheels, and I did a bunch of that, don't expect these panels to fit perfect.
No, they never do. I mean,
they're aftermarket. They never do. You always have to do something. Yeah.
Here's a good question. Speaking aftermarket, it's gotten better, because I restored my bug, my 65, in 1998, and the aftermarket parts sucked. Everything
they were all
sucked.
From China and Taiwan.
They still are. Let's put it that way.
They still are?
They suck. I hated I had to cut everything, and all the rubber went out in 3 years. You had to replace it again. When I restored the 61 Beetle, it was a lot better. I mean, I went down to Jim's Custom VW, got all my panels in that. They fit pretty dang good. So, but after all these years, you can buy OEM new old stock metal and it bolts right up to anything, any car. Why can't they get it better? Yeah. Why can't these people get right on? I mean, there's Dynacorn does good stuff. There's a lot of companies that do really good, body panels, but it's still not right. Now, why can't they get it just right? I mean, wouldn't it, again, I'm missing something, because wouldn't you take a new old stock panel and form it just the way it is and make a mold out of it?
You would.
I don't get it. So, I mean, it's I know the metal's cheaper, it's thinner than you want to use the old stock or the old panels and patch them as much as you can to keep that.
So when you put these panels in, do you want to coat them with anything before, or do you coat them afterwards?
Yeah, here's the deal with that. They come with an e-coat, electronic coating to, I've heard, and I know there's a body shop here that did restorations for a long time. They stripped the e-coat off. They swore by it. Strip it off because there's rust underneath. I've done that. I've never found any rust underneath. And I just left the e-coat on, and just the edges where I'm going to weld, I grind it down. I've never had trouble getting, just leaving the e-coat on. So, I mean, I just say you scuff the e-coat up and then you prime right over it. That's what I've done. Never had a problem with it. But there's shops that'll say, you got to strip this down because there might be contaminants between the metal and the e-coat. So it could be either way. So I guess it's a crapshoot in what you want. So
I wouldn't want to strip that e-coat off. I really would.
It's hard. You have to literally, you're using flapper wheels and grind wheels, and it's tough. It's on there.
Can you go over it with something like that stuff from Eastwood? What's that stuff called? I use that on my car.
Yeah, you can do anything as long as you scuff it up. You take a Scotch-Brite pad, one of their red Scotch-Brite pads, rough it up a little bit so you get a grip on it, clean it real well, and you can prime right over it. You can paint right over it, anything like that. And I think it just adds a layer of protection, because what I like to do is get that, if I got a panel and you're going to put it on, I scuff it up and I epoxy coat it. So it seals that e-coat in, plus you got that hard epoxy, and rust is never getting in there.
You know what? How much protection do you really need? Okay, this is your toy. Okay, if you were going to run this car every day, on the salt and everything, then you really need the protection. I was getting some brake lines put in my car the other day, and my buddy goes, "You want to put the stainless steel ones in?" I said, "Well, it doesn't matter. What is it, better or what?" He goes, "Well, yeah, it's better." I said, "I'm not going to run this car in the wintertime. What do I need stainless steel ones for? It'll probably last me 30, 40 years. And hell, I won't be here in 30, 40 years." I said,
it depends. I mean, it depends if your garage, here's the deal with brake lines. Let's put it that way. If you're putting regular steel brake lines in, that brake fluid, we're talking about conventional brake fluid, not synthetic. Conventional brake fluid traps moisture. What does that moisture do when it sits in the lines? It eats it from the inside out. So stainless steel would be good, but if you have a climate controlled garage, you don't have moisture in there. You have to use steel lines. You're going to, every 5 years, pump that system out, rebleed the brakes, put new stuff in. Or the best bet, you put steel lines on, put synthetic brake fluid in. You never have to worry about it. So that's the deal with that.
You talk about things that last long, and I know this is a subject we talk about, but when my son was just graduating from high school, he needed a new mattress, and I went to go get him a mattress, and the guy says, I picked up a cheap one. And the guy says, this one over here will last you a good 8 years. I said, "How long will this one last?" He said, 6 months. I said, "Give me that one," because it was for my son. I wanted him out in 6 months.
Make him uncomfortable as hell.
I don't need that 8-year mattress.
Yeah, that's when you say, "You broke the mattress. Get the hell out of the house. I just bought that." To go back really quick to your question, Rick, of how much really epoxy coating do you need? You're not driving in winter. My question is, you want it done right, correct?
Right.
You don't want to take any chances. If you've got that car stripped down to metal, or you've got body work on there, throw the epoxy coat on. It's not hurting anything, and it's sealed. I mean, I put epoxy coat when I restored my Herbie the Love Bug replica back in 1998. I had a good friend of mine's dad was a body man, and he taught me everything. He said, epoxy coat it. Just do it. It's cheap. You buy epoxy paint. It's not that expensive. And I have yet to find any rust on that car. I restored it in 1998. I still have it. You do the math. I haven't found any rust on that car, and it sits. It sits in the garage. It'll go out. I do get in the rainstorms. Found no rust on it. So
I like to ask different questions because there's a lot of people here that are just getting into the hobby.
Mhm.
Okay. And I don't know a lot of these answers either to these questions. And I like to, if I don't know them, a lot of other people don't know them, so that's basically why I do that. So
yeah, you want to, well, real quick, you want, if you're doing metal work on a car, you're cutting out panels, you're welding new in, you've ground off your welds. You want to seal that moisture out. It's going to get in there. I mean, primer, people think I'm going to put a coat of primer, duplicolor primer on it. Primer pulls moisture in. It's not made to keep moisture out. So you've got to seal that. What does body filler do? It traps moisture. And if you leave it exposed, you can't do that. Put that epoxy, do your metal work, do your prime work, sealed off with epoxy primer. It'll never rust.
Eastwood got that rust inhibitor. I think that's what it's called.
It's an epoxy. It's an epoxy. So
it's really good. I did my whole frame with that. I was under there spraying it and everything.
You'll know, unless it's rusting from the inside out, you're not going to have a problem. And
it
people
looks pretty too.
And people, remember back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, Z-Bart, all this undercoating crap. When he first came out and before the, EPA got involved, it was not too bad. You could spray it in there and it was toxic as hell and it worked. After they got involved, all it does is, and my Caprice was that way. My parents had it undercoated when they bought it. And it was the worst thing it could have done because, man, it would get a crack in it, bring all the salt in, hold it in, and then it rot right through the frame. Yep. So I had to patch the frame on that a few places because of the damn undercoating. So that's probably why it's not around anymore.
And I think one of the things that turned me off is when I go look at old cars, when I'm looking at them, if I crawl underneath and see that 1/4 of an inch undercoating everywhere.
It hides everything too.
Yes, it does. And a lot of the factories, I know the 61 Bug had undercoating on it from the factory. I left it alone. I did strip it off because I kind of chunked it and it was perfect. I'm like, leaving it be. It was the only part that didn't rust on that car.
That's a good way to hide rust too.
Yeah, it is.
Selling a car, put that stuff on there real thick and you don't notice it.
Yeah, you got to literally tap on it with a screwdriver and say, hey, this sounds like a dead thud. There's got to be body fill under there, a lot of it.
Or carry a big magnet with you.
Yep.
But there, that's like I kind of enjoy the quasi rat rods, and and I love cars that look great, but there's something about a classic car that has the dings. I mean, I'm not talking about falling apart. Don't get me wrong.
No, but just beauty marks.
Yeah, and it's that
I got beauty marks.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to refer to. It's kind of like Rick.
I don't know who said that.
Rick, we like to say that you have pretty patina.
You have a lot of patina, Rick.
Patina, I never heard, but that's a good thing, I guess. Huh?
Here's one for you. I ran into this yesterday. I'm all for patina. You get a car, you pull it out of the desert. It's got that beautiful rust look that's faded the paint. I love that. You put some shine juice on that, you're okay.
I don't.
Now, I was coming back from AutoZone yesterday. Guy had a GMC. It was probably 60 to 62, I think, GMC truck, and it was faded. And he was going for that patina look, but it wasn't the original paint. So I'm like, I can't do that. If it was painted once, and it looked like a base clear or it was a lacquer or something. It was cracking and peeling, but he wanted that look. I'm like, no, just strip it down and what are your thoughts on that? If it's original paint and it looks like patina, I'm cool with it.
No,
I'm a detailer. I like shiny stuff, and that rusty stuff it just doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry. And
I'm with you, Rick, on some cars. There's some cars that patina just doesn't work. We had the two gentlemen on about the Porsches. I don't want to see a.
No, you're right.
We ran into that guy at Ravenna. Yeah. What was his name, Greg?
Yeah, I can't remember. He came up to us, and I'm like,
was it Jerry or
I can't remember, but he came up to us. So
he was an old guy.
I agree. there's certain cars that patina looks good. A truck.
Yeah.
An old truck. you know that patina is going to look good. An old wagon or something. Yeah.
They wrap them in the patina style now. Do you see that? I see what is it called? The Tesla truck wrapped in the patina.
Can't do that. I can't. I think that looks. And I saw there was somebody selling. It was a '70 Chevelle, and they painted it look like patina rust. I'm like,
I didn't like.
I was like, and they wanted a premium price for this thing. I'm like, you freaking ruined the car. It looks terrible. Didn't even look like patina. It looked
was it wrapped or was it painted?
Oh,
like
it
that?
was paint.
Yeah.
It was paint and airbrushed to look like
personally, I wouldn't even look at it.
I'm like,
first,
you spent all that money doing that, and it looks like crap.
Yeah,
some people like that.
First, you got to start. Patina to me is. I'm going to start with 1950 cars.
Yeah,
53 Ford.
The paints 54. Back then sucked.
Yeah, so
they didn't last 2 years.
Right, let it patina out, get a couple dings in it. I can make that car look good. Lower it,
I like that. Good. Yeah,
but you give me a muscle car or a Euro car.
No.
It just doesn't work, and you're gonna ruin it. That also, I don't like the matte finish on a lot of cars.
Oh, I don't either.
I like that.
I don't like it either.
We want your opinions on this. We're doing this show for you. So ArmstrongStreetScene@gmail.com. Please post your opinions on that. Give us your input because we'll talk about it on this show. Always looking for.
I don't like the blacked out look either. I don't like that at all. I think it's looks like a cop car.
God, you're gonna
see something. You get an SUV, it's all blacked out. I go, is that a cop car? I go, I just don't like that.
Now there's a young kid down the street, right down the street from me, and they're in the tuner cars. They're also in these. If they watch this
blacked
show,
out, yeah.
Well, if they watch this show, they're also into the little 11-inch wheel motorcycle type. I don't know what they call these things. They buzz all around the street. They look like a little scooter, but they're fast as hell. I'll get the name. It'll come to me. But anyway, so he has this little tuner car. I don't know what it is. It's dropped. It looks pretty cool. And I drove down the street and it's nice. And it was like a pink color. And then the next month it was, I think it's yellow now. It was like and I stopped and he was wrapping it in his driveway.
Oh, jeez.
This kid's pretty good at it.
I was going to say that's a hard job.
Seem like it's hard. You probably do it once, and I
don't know.
You're really good at it.
I'd like to give it a shot.
Soap it up, and
you heat it and you lay it over there, and you get that little I don't want to call it a squeegee. We want to call it a squeegee?
It's like a squeegee, yeah.
I'm damn good at putting graphics on cars, stripes, all that stuff. I can do that. You got to try
wrapping a car.
Same thing.
I'm scared to wrap a car. I'm like, I know I'll screw it up. I'll get a wrinkle in it. I know. It's like, no.
Yeah, that's what the squeegee's for, man. You get all the bubbles out of it. And if you get the bubble,
to me, it's like putting tint on windows. I hate doing that. I've done that a few times, and invariably I'll get a wrinkle in it.
Yeah, I told you guys, and I don't know if Rick will remember this, but when tint first came out, it was out of a spray can.
Oh, yeah. That. My brother, I remember my brother in his 60s.
And I'll tell you what, I was the guy you went to in the neighborhood. I had that artistic talent, and, you'd spray it and you'd let it drip.
Yeah.
And it was cool as can be to do that. And I had a car where I tinted my windows orange.
Oh, yeah. I've seen a lot.
I was, come on, Rick, I was the coolest guy. No, it was a four-door 62 Chevy Biscayne. Had what was the blue, the 6-cylinder nose, the 230? Is that what?
So what year is it?
62, I think it was.
Yeah, it was before the 250. It had to have been the 230 or 235. I don't know what it was then.
And I had I had a discount at Earl Scheib.
Oh well.
And I would let me tell you, I would get my cars, and I told the group this before. My best job was I drove tow truck. All through high school. So driving tow truck meant I ran across a bunch of cars. Guys would want me to take them. So I pick up this it was a 62 Chevy Biscayne 4-door. I detail it, I strip it down, everything, and prep it, take it to Earl Scheib, get it painted metallic blue. I tint
for
the windows
$29.95.
Yeah.
I think it was $19.95 back.
So you got it for $17.95.
Yeah,
wow.
Exactly. But if I put everything back on it, I tint the windows orange. And I go to Hollywood Auto that was on Market Street, and I buy this is so ghetto. And I buy chrome wheel hubcaps.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember those?
Oh yeah.
And I'll tell you what, and I'd cruise up Market Street, and guys would look at that, and I'd be sitting a little low and say, "There you go." And it was a 4-door Biscayne.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Now, now in this day and age, my son's, he loves the rims. He changes rims like underwear on his cars.
Yeah.
So he likes this, he'll sell it. He likes it, sell. And they're
ran
always
into your son at the Octane nights there. He was coming in. We were leaving.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk to him, but I was like, no, I'm not. He was going to be up the other end, and I'm
he
like,
got
no
there
way.
late though. Jeez,
No, he worked till 6.
okay.
So,
yeah.
So anyway, but think back when we were younger. You guys were really young before I was born.
I can't remember that far back.
How many rim styles did you have to choose from?
No, not many.
Exactly. So you had to have, and you go into Kmart or Worldwide Auto Parts in the 80s or anything, and they had just rows of the hubcaps, the wheel covers. That's what you bought when you wanted to look cool. I remember my Caprice when I was in high school. I first got my license. What I do, run it right out to the junkyard, bought a set of Pontiac Rally rims. Just something different,
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, nice though. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't have any rims, and people don't get that. The kids now don't understand that everything's at their fingertips. But we had, it was you had the Krager SS rims, which are popular. You had the what other
American Racing wheels.
American Racing. You had Keystone Classics. You had those.
Yeah, Keystone Classics.
And you had the slotted mags. That's where the mags came from, was magnesium rims. So that's where you only had like 5 styles of rims to choose from. And now it's
every car I had, Greg, when I first got it, every car I had, here's what my custom rims were. They consisted of beauty rims and dog dish hubcaps.
And you know what? That's basically that's exactly what a Chevy Rally is.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of guys
wheel
go into that still.
with, it's got holes in the side and a chrome center cap and a chrome trim ring. That's all it is. And they still look cool. I still have those on my Caprice. Still love them.
I can remember going and buying the white wax stick to make my letters
God,
white.
I remember doing that. I
geez.
sucked at that. I get so pissed. I'm like, my car's gonna look so badass. I'm painting this and like it looks like crap. And it's dripping down the tire and it's drying.
Come on, think about that. But by doing that, those simple things, those that's what got you in working on the cars.
Yes.
That's when you said, Friday, I can remember Fridays where you wash your wax, you couldn't go out with the car.
What kind of wax did you use?
Oh, God, I can tell you what I used.
Turtle wax.
Oh, well, there's blue coral too, which
Blue
was
coral.
That was
and that
expensive.
stuff was like cement to get off.
Yeah. But I would get
Simonize
the
was
turtle
another
wax
one.
or Simonize, it was just it was a car scene. My week was the car scene, man. Working on the car.
Well, yeah. After you got out of school, you wax your cars cleaned up and go cruise, and that's what it was.
Cruise. Yeah.
And let's talk about some of those old brands. I mean, they're still around, but those were the popular brands back then. The Blue Coral, Simonized, Turtle Wax. Those were the ones. Rick, what other ones were there?
I got a collection of wax cans at home. I probably got 100, 125 of them in there.
What's the oldest brand you got that you can recall?
Oh my God, I got something from the 1950s. I don't know what kind. I got something from the 40s. When we went to Hershey a couple of years ago, there was this lady there, and her uncle left her all these cans that he had. He had them all like from the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. I was like in heaven going, I want this one. I want that one. And man, and I couldn't afford it. I said, I should have went to the ATM and took some money out because she had some nice cans and just like wax products and stuff like that. Anything with detailing. And man, I got some 40s stuff in there. I got a McGuire.
Rick, did you ever go to the Did you ever go to the ATM and I was shocked when this happened and you put the card in and it actually laughs.
No, God.
That's you don't want that to occur. But Rick, I got in the back.
That's my bank account.
Yeah. I got a can of I think it's called Tire Black.
I was going to bring that up before when you bring it up the white stuff on there. Yeah, black. You paint your tires black. Yeah,
it's Tire Black. I should give it.
Basically painted them. Yeah.
Here's a perfect one. Wesley's Bleach White. They still sell that. I love that stuff. I still buy it. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. It's great
for white walls and white leather.
And that's been around forever. I remember that
once in a while.
And the best thing I remember when I was growing up, again, those cloth seats of velour and all that crap in the 80s that I grew up with. tough stuff for interiors. I remember when that came out, and I still use it. It's so good. If I just want to scrub a seat real quick and spray that foam on, wipe it off, it's clean. I think did Simon Ice make that?
Well,
I can't remember.
They're still around. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I got a can in the back there too, but in the back, and this is when we had tube tires, and it has a monkey on it. What's it called? Monkey patch? Did you ever see those where and you scrape got the little.
Oh yeah, it's like a bicycle tire type of scratch.
Yeah. So I got. And,
I'm gonna have to
go ahead.
I'm gonna have to take some pictures of the cans I got. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I have. I've been collecting them for probably 20, 25 years.
So
now.
do you remember any names that we haven't mentioned of old products like that?
Oh, there's this one. What the heck is it? And it's really expensive. I can't right now. I'm sorry. I can't think of it. It's a really expensive. You see it and you go, oh my God.
But, you know,
a lot of it depends on the can itself. People love the cans. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the shape or the graphics?
The shape. You get one of those 1920, 1930 cans. Hell, they go for 80 or 800, 900,000 bucks.
Wow.
If you get good graphics on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And, you know, it's funny that they're so, you know, that people just throw them out now, and they're so like gas pumps. Rick, you have a gas pump at home. I don't know, John. Do you?
I want to get another one. Yeah.
No,
Jesus.
I got an old Gabarco in 1953, Goodyear 53, and I rebuilt the whole thing, and I got to redo it again now. It's been
I've always wanted
years.
one.
I have.
Then when I ran across them, they were so much money.
Oh, they are, yeah. But they keep
crazy.
Fun. I got it out in front of in the center of my garage, and it lights up every night. And I got the gas price on it from 53. It was like $29.9 or something like that.
But just remember when you drove out, you know, these gas stations going out of business, they just let them sit there and they run. It's like, well, if I can go back in time and grab a few of those pumps, I mean,
you know what I recently sold? Wait, Rick, what I recently sold before I forget, and I think this is prior to me start doing the show, and when I was picking with our Porsche buddy, we picked, I seen this and knew it was something. Remember the old gas station? You had the center island, right? Mm-hmm. And they had the big center pole light.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, with the two. Yeah.
I got one of those lights during one of these pictures.
Oh wow!
I didn't have the post to it, so I made the post out of a big PVC plastic pipe.
Yeah.
And I had it in my back garage, and I would light it up, and it was cool, but it didn't fit. It didn't fit. And I put it online. I got crazy money for that. I believe
it with the Mercury lights heads on them.
But it was so cool. It was
Rick, remember we did that show on the gas pumps with Rick. I can't think of his last name now. Oh God!
Yeah, he lived out in
Louisville.
Louisville, Campbell area out that way.
And actually, he got me involved with the
he had a huge collection.
He still's got them. He still has them.
Jeez, I haven't been out that way since
I
years.
go that way when I go to Louisville.
I can't remember his last name, but that was a show from 2010.
Oh, it's been a while.
2010 we shot that show, and he had some really nice gas pumps. But
you got to get the old gas pumps with the light on them, you know, so you can.
Rick, I'm thinking that show in 2010. You were a young 60-year-old.
Yes, I was. that is young right now.
You were younger than that, weren't you?
2010, yeah, I sure was. I was mid-50s.
Yeah, you're my age. It's pretty bad.
My buddy bought one of the newer gas pumps. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like them at all. But no light. It's
square. Are they the square ones?
Yeah, the square ones.
70s and 80s.
Yeah, and he paid like $700 for it, but he loves it.
Whatever.
Isn't the most valuable thing on those older glass pumps is the globe, right?
Oh yeah, good luck finding one that's not.
They got
broken.
reproductions of them. That's what's nice about them.
Yeah.
You get an original globe, but you don't want to put it out unless you're going to keep it inside. You know.
Yeah.
Some of those are worth a lot of money.
Not even the pumps, just the pumps themselves, if they're still intact.
I went to, where did I get my pump at? I got my pump probably about 15, 16 years ago. I went to Canton, Ohio to get it. Some lady was getting divorced and she said, I'm selling everything. And I paid $550 for it.
Which is a steal.
Yeah, well, now it is, yeah. But back then it was about normal. But I had it all repainted and I I put new glass in and new everything in it. So now it's showing its age.
What make is it? What gasoline does it display?
Oh, well, you can put anything in it.
Does it say Sinclair or Amoco, or does it say anything like that?
Yeah, it's Amoco. You can put, basically those are generic, those pumps, okay? And you paint them, they painted them whatever color they wanted, or put the stickers on it, whatever you wanted. That's basically what the pumps are, yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
There's been a lot of, think of the stations that have come and gone. I always remember 76, Phillips 66, Axon is still around, but not around here. You know, some of the other brands that were
Texaco
is a big. Golf.
Is that still around? Is that gone?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe out west.
I used to work for a Texaco station. Yeah.
Maybe out west.
Amoco.
Yeah, Amoco. That's all. You know, it's BP. Shell, and,
I was going around taking pictures, and maybe we'll do a show one of these times. I'll send the pictures so we can show why we're talking. I just find old gas stations extremely cool.
Oh yeah.
There's one on Hillman.
There's one here in Hubbard. You got to go past this one on here.
Oh, it's awesome.
My God.
And Girard has
Kohlberg
a couple
Garage.
Cool ones. Yeah. And there's one on the south side of Youngstown. It's white. I forgot the name of it. They just have so much uniqueness to them, and they're so cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you know, I took a bunch of pictures. I may put together some type of slide or something we'll show, but I hope they don't tear them down and somebody buys them and turns them into a.
If you're ever in the Hubbard area, go Chestnut Ridge Road. Okay. If you're coming from like where all the gas stations are, you
62.
make 62 off of 62, and it's about a half a mile down the road. Kohlberg Garage. The guy has one. He had one garage all fixed up. And then he built another one. He's got that all fixed up with pumps and all this old memorabilia.
Oh, really?
It's cool.
It's really cool.
It's one of those things where you take your car down there, because we used to have a campsite at Chestnut Ridge Campground, and we always drove by that.
Right there.
It's one of those things where you just pull in, you put your car, and you take a snapshot right in front of his place.
I always wanted to do the show there. I wanted to do a show there. You know that.
Yeah.
The guy, I don't know what's inside. I've never been inside, but I can just imagine what's inside because he's got some nice looking stuff outside. So.
Yeah. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, the old gas stations. And then, you know, I grew up, that was, you know, one of my first jobs, gas station, pumping gas, you know. Back when it was full service, and it was just a cool place to hang out. And that's and again, going back to how we became car people, that's how it started.
You had to do the reason, you know, you think back of when you got into cars, and Rick, we know your story. Your brother was dragging you along, you know, and I was in a family that my dad was a professor for botany. So I had it was just in my blood. But I remember the reason I started working on my cars, I didn't have any damn money. So it's like, the front brakes went out. Guess who? I'm going to figure it out. So you'd go, I remember going to the Westminster College Library and looking at the Chilton manuals and, you know, learning that stuff. And once you start doing it, it's like, this is pretty cool. Cause I'm like, you get that sense of accomplishment. Like I just saved myself about $200 doing this myself. Or, you know,
then too, that was a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, you know, brakes back when I was growing up, they were $25 for the whole kit, you know, or you go to the garage, it's $100. So yeah.
And you know, back in those days, when I worked on cars, we would fix things. Compared to today, they replace things.
Yeah, you don't trouble. The troubleshooting is gone. I tried to. My son's a technician at Hyundai up in Boardman here, and you know, they basically they pull circuit boards, they put them back in, they pull computers, put them back in. You know, you have the computer testing. I said, you know, when he gets back home, he's like, I can't figure this out. I said, you got to learn to troubleshoot, especially electrical. It's like, you know, my window's not working. Well, you know, my windshield wipers aren't working. Start with it. Where is it getting power and where is it not? Start troubleshooting. Here's how to use a multimeter. You've got to learn how to troubleshoot. I don't care if they are new cars. You still are going to have these quirky problems like, I've got to troubleshoot this thing. I've got to figure out how to do it. And that was the best part of it. We didn't have computers back then to tell us what's wrong or sensors. you know.
Wow.
And it made you learn how everything works. Even today's engines, you know, they're still, you know, if you're doing an internal combustion engine, it works the same way as it always has. It's just got a lot more crap on it that you don't need, you know.
Sensors and stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm going to tell you here's when I really felt like a mechanic. I felt like, you know, compared to my buddies when I was a young kid, and I thought, you know, they'd be talking, I'd say, well, I'm a mechanic. And this is what made me feel like a mechanic. When my dad would make me pump the brakes.
Oh,
Okay, pump them, hold them, okay, pump them again,
bleed them
hold
again.
'em.
Yep.
Yeah, and I thought, man, I know I got my stuff together here, man. I mean, I could work on cars.
Hold them down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, pumping brakes was a big thing. I love doing that, and just sitting there and you know, give me a 9/16, okay. Give me give me a 5, give me an open end, give me a saw, and I don't know why, but it was such a great feeling to do that, to sit there and do that. You know, where some guy, my older brother was a motorhead, my two other brothers. You know, my dad say, give me a 9/16, and there'd be no response because they'd be gone.
They did want to do it.
Left. No, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I got a kick out of it.
And when we grew up, you know, we didn't have metric, and you know, to this day.
Well, here, wait. Before you go any further, let me explain. So at our show at the park, at the Osstown Park, I had the vet there. I'm getting ready, and the vet, my vet's a 95. It has a clamshell front end where the whole front end lifts up.
Yeah.
Has that rod that holds it. Show's ended. I'm getting ready to leave. I push the hood up and bring it down. It's not coming down. and that thing is huge. That thing's heavy. And I push it up and it's not coming down. I said, well, that rod's not going to. And I said, what am I going to do? And I'm asking somebody. I says, hey, and I says, you know anything about these? And everybody's going, no. Well, the one guy, and he's a great guy. He's out of Girard. I forgot his name. He comes over. He says, John, what's the matter? I said,
it's just a little thing that goes up. And
it's not connected. And he looks and he says, he says where it connects to the hood itself, that's loose and it's not being stiff and allowing it to. So we took the whole rod off, right?
Yeah.
But here's what I'm getting at. Dropped the hood and I drove it home. Got my white shorts dirty, which got me mad. But so yeah. And then I get home. The wife goes, "Why'd you wear those if you knew you were going to work on the car?" I wasn't going to work on the car. I went to a show.
Yeah.
Did you fix it? Did you fix it?
Well, here's what I'm getting to. So we fixed it. I'm over at my son-in-law's house. I said, give me a half inch. No, that's not. Give me a 9/69. I said, what the hell is this? Now, why is there a 10 millimeter on a Corvette?
Well, that's what it's an 85.
That's the size. Right? I thought that was metric.
10 millimeter? Yes, because here's the deal.
What are they doing on a Corvette?
They started switching over to metric in the late 70s on these cars. So they had a mishmash of metric and standard wrenches, standard size bolts, nuts, everything.
The Europeans had the metric, yeah.
That's why it shocked me that was metric.
Oh, yeah, because my Caprice has some metric bolts on it. It's a 79. That's when they started doing that. It's like because they wanted to go metric, you know. That was the big thing, the metric push in the United States. Hell of that. I'm going to say it. I still can't. I can look at a standard bolt, and tell you what size it is. Yeah. A metric, forget it. I'm like, it's 12. No, it's 10. It's 11.
For anybody listening, if they can't close their hood on a 95 Vet, and you got to tighten that up, it's a 10 millimeter. So
what's the standard joke? I have every wrench but my 10 millimeter. I've lost 10 times. I can't tell you how many times I can never find a 10 millimeter wrench. If my 10 millimeter wrench is gone, I know my son has it for his cars because he lost his, and it's like, oh God, yeah. Well, we got about a minute left, so.
Well, like always, and let me put in my little 2 cents worth. I love our guest. Don't get me wrong. Our last guest, Harry from Benchwick Carburetor, was great. Informative.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, but I think some of our best shows, gentlemen, are when us three just sit down and shoot the breeze on car talk. I just think they are.
There's
It's a
always
great
something
show.
to talk about. I mean, there's, we just roll with it. Our guest, he didn't come on, so we just rolled with it. So I think it was a good show. So, Rick, you got any last words before we wrap
Hey,
it up?
there's a nice show coming up in Newcastle, and I think I'm just looking it up. I think it's the 25th of August on Sunday night. That's downtown Newcastle. It's a really good
as the
show.
Memories Cruise, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yep. And I think I'm going to head there.
Maybe I'll have the Model A.
Well, for Rick Guerrera and John Lessagange, my name's Greg Roten. We will see you
down the road.